This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Hey, welcome back. Jonathan Clark. We're in the studio with Bernard Fowler. He's been on this show a couple times before. You'll see and hear him singing on stage with the Rolling Stones at MetLife Stadium tomorrow night, Thursday night, and also Monday night. He's been performing with that band as a vocalist since 1988. He has a new album out now called Inside Out, and I'm holding it up here to the cameras in the room. It's right here. And Bernard, I'm looking at the back here, and it looks like, I will show the cameras as well, that this looks like that classic photo of down underneath Manhattan Bridge overpass. Am I correct with that?
I believe so. You are correct.
And that would be your mouth on the front.
That is my mouth. I couldn't use the Rolling Stone logo, so I made my own.
Well, let's get to this album because these are new versions of classic Rolling Stones songs that you've been singing with the band for many, many times, many, many years, but it is not what you would normally think. Explain.
Yes. Well, I don't think there's only 2 songs on that record that I've probably played with the band. The rest are songs that I went into the Rolling Stone song catalog to dig out. And it's Rolling Stone songs done in a spoken word form.
Yeah.
And it was important that the lyrics were really strong. And most of the hits that people know, the lyric wasn't strong enough for what I wanted to do. So I had to go into the catalog and dig some good ones, dig some of the gems out.
Well, it's, and if you think about it, some of those songs really lend themselves to a spoken word sort of format, because if you're speaking these words, they can have maybe a little more power in some cases than if they are being sung.
That's very true.
You know, and especially this time that we are living in now.
Yes.
Talk about that.
And that was important. That was also really important, that the lyrics could have been written yesterday. It was important that the lyrics reflected how we're living now. And I was able to do that. And like I said, those lyrics, the lyrics that I did choose to use, they could have been written just yesterday.
Right. I'll just list a couple of songs. Dancing with Mr. D, Sister Morphine. I mean, obviously with the opioid crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Under Cover of the Night, Time Waits for No One, Sympathy for the Devil. How did this all start? Were you doing a sound check? Were you doing a rehearsal? And were you just sort of scatting these lyrics? And how did it all sort of come about?
Well, how it started was when I was when I was mixing the Bura.
Right, the last album.
That's right. My last solo album, I was thinking about what I was going to record next. And I didn't want it to be anything like the Bura or Friends with Privileges, the record before that. I was looking to do something. I was looking to throw a curveball to everyone. And I had a few ideas, but the spoken word idea just kept coming up. And I had decided I was going to do that. And at rehearsal, we were on tour, and I was practicing my conga, and Chuck Lavelle said, "Hey man, we're gonna do some song for the sound check." So yeah. I'm playing conga, and I just started reciting the lyric in a beatnik kind of fashion, and everybody stopped and looked at me. And some people were smiling. Chuck was cracking up. He was laughing his butt off. And, it became a thing that I did every day, before the sound check. And Mick one day came up and said, "Bernard, I've heard Rolling Stone songs a lot of different ways, but I've never heard it like that before." And I said, "Well, when the tour is over, I'm going into the studio to cut it." And he said, "That's a good idea. You should do it." And that was the first time I shared that idea with them.
Yeah. And so he was cool with it, just go ahead, right?
He thought it was a good idea, and that made me go to it even faster. I got a green light from the boss. So,
right, yeah.
I knew I wouldn't run into any any problems later on down the line.
Right.
Because
It's Bernard Fowler, and the new album is Inside Out. All the info, bernardfowler.com. You have some very recognizable names with you on this album. Tell us who they are.
Oh, my gosh, man. I have the baddest cats on this record, man. I was so lucky. I'm really lucky because there was no budget for this record. I did this record out of my pocket.
Yeah.
And so everybody that I called are friends of mine that I've worked with before, and it just so happened that they all were available to join me.
Sometimes that's the hardest part, like
It is.
wrangling, cats
It
or
is
something,
the
right?
hardest part, to wrangle cats.
Because they all say yes,
together.
but it's like, I can't do it because I got this. and-
Exactly
Yeah.
right. And I'm telling you, I was so lucky. So playing on the record, I'll start in the percussion. We have Walfredo Reyes Jr. I think Walfredo's playing with Chicago now. And we have New York percussionist Lenny Castro.
Well, I've heard that name.
On drums, we have Steve Jordan.
Him?
Steve Jordan.
He's so good.
Vince Wilburn Jr., Munyungo Jackson. On piano, we have Michael Bearden, and we have Mike Garson. 40-some-odd years with David Bowie.
Wow.
On horn, we have Ron Jublia. We have, from the Rolling Stone horn section, Tim Reese. And doing the trumpet work is a masterful player, Keon Harold, who did all the trumpet work for the Don Cheadle, Miles Davis movie.
Wow, cool.
On bass guitar, only one bass guitarist on there, and that would be Darryl Jones.
Hello. Rolling Stones bass player.
Rolling Stones bass player. George Evans is playing guitar, and the great Ray Parker Jr. is putting the icing on the guitar. And also on brushes, this was a present Steve Jordan bought me, and that's Clayton Cameron. He used to play drums for Tony Bennett, Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow.
He's known as the brush master.
Yeah.
And I think I've named just about everybody.
It's Bernard Fowler talking about his new album, Inside Out, spoken word, Rolling Stones, his versions of these songs. I think you mentioned a gig. You have a gig coming up where you're going to perform some of these songs in a spoken word fashion. Where and when is that gig?
Yes, the gig is on the 7th. The 7th of this month, and it will be at the Jazz Standard. Tim Reese and I will do some songs. Tim Reese also has a new record that he's just dropped. And so we're going to play songs from both our new records at
And
the Jazz Standard.
is here in New York City,
Here
right?
in New York City on the 7th. I believe it's on 25th Street.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got the news that Mick was having heart surgery,
Mm-hmm.
were you surprised at all that literally like a couple weeks after that, he's posting videos of him dancing, like doing his dance routine?
No.
I mean,
No. I was not surprised. I was surprised he didn't post that stuff sooner.
right, yeah. Like he was at the gym like a week out,
Like the next day.
I mean, that's got to be inspiring because you're younger than all these guys.
I'm the youngest one in the band.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be inspiring.
Oh, man, it is definitely something that I aspire to, is to, be able to rock and roll as long as they have. He's in super, super good shape, condition, and, something like that was not going to keep him down. Like you said, 2 days later, he's posting pictures of him dancing around. I was really happy to see that.
Have you played these final mastered versions of the songs for Mick and Keith yet?
I have indeed.
Yes.
I have.
And the verdict is
They are loving it. Charlie Watts, I was with him. We went out into the country a couple days ago, and he was talking about it. I said, Bernard,
he's a jazz guy.
Yes, he's a jazz guy. He gets it, and he gave me some ideas for the next one that I think I might take. I might listen to what he had to say about, the next one. He had some really great ideas. So thank you, Charlie.
Bernard Fowler is his name. Inside Out is the new album. Everyone should go out and get it and see Bernard Next week, the 7th of August at the Jazz Standard here in New York City. He's going to be performing some of these songs, and of course you can see him with the Rolling Stones tomorrow night, Thursday night at MetLife Stadium, and Monday night at MetLife Stadium, and of course all around the country, all around the world with the Stones. Speaking of which, we had Chuck Leavell in here earlier, and I asked him this question. I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Is there one gig that you have done with the Rolling Stones and in the decades that you have been with them that sort of still stands out as oh my God, I can't believe we did that. I can't believe we played there. I can't believe this happened.
Yeah, there are two. The first one would have to be Cuba, when we played Cuba.
Recently.
Yeah, recently, I think, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And
what was that like there?
950,000 people. A free concert for 950,000 people was incredible. It was incredible. And what's it like? People
were probably crying, right? I mean, when was the last time anything like that happened to those people there where they get to see an event like that?
I don't know if anything like that has ever happened there. I don't know. But you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how well they know that music. I was talking to some kids and I was asking them, how do you know this music? How do you get it? They go under to the roof of buildings in Cuba with their radios and just move the antenna till they get a signal.
From Florida or whatever.
From Florida, exactly. And when they get it, they hold it there and that's it. They're in.
And, the internet is very controlled there. So
yes,
it's not like they can just dial up YouTube and, put in Rolling Stones and see 5,000 videos.
Yeah, something that I remember happening was, there's always here in the States, there's always a VIP area for, the important guests. No VIP area in Cuba.
Really?
No.
Interesting.
No, they couldn't call it VIP. They had to call it the family section or something like that, but no VIP.
Interesting.
And the other gig that I would say is really memorable, it would have to be Brazil, Copacabana Beach, 1.5 million people.
Wow.
I'm telling you, people as far as you couldn't see the end of people. And to the left was the street and the hotels, to the right's the ocean. And the amount of boats out there was just incredible. It was so many people there.
Did it rain at that festival?
No, it didn't rain.
It didn't rain.
Not the night that we played, but it was so many people there that we couldn't walk out of the hotel across the street to get to the stage. They built a bridge from the hotel over the street to the stage.
Bridges to Babylon.
So we can get to the stage. It was incredible. Incredible.
Fantastic.
I get goosebumps thinking about that.
I can imagine. Yeah, me too. Bernard Fowler, his new album is Inside Out. Everyone go out and get it and see him next week at the Jazz Standard here in New York City, August 7th. He'll be performing these songs, Rolling Stones songs, and I'm sure some other songs as well. You'll be doing
yes,
it. Yes,
we will. We will do some other songs.
Get all the info on Bernard at bernardfowler.com, and of course see him with the Rolling Stones, when they tour for the next 20 years or something.
That's right. From your lips to God's ears.
There you go. Bernard, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jonathan. Always good to see you.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q104.3.